Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to graph a quadratic function from standard form. So remember that standard form looks like just y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And you can't just look at it and know what the graph looks like. You definitely need to do some things. And so we will find a, b, and c, and we'll use a, b, and c to find the axis of symmetry. So this part is going to be the axis of symmetry equation, but also it will be the x coordinate of the vertex. So if you remember in a parabola, whether that parabola opens up or down, wherever the vertex is, there's always going to be an axis of symmetry that goes through it. And whatever the x coordinate of the vertex is, that is what the x value is right there in the axis of symmetry equation. So we're going to start by finding the axis of symmetry. Side note, if you remember, the quadratic formula was x equals the opposite of b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So the axis of symmetry just comes from like, hey, before you do all this plus or minus stuff, it's just that part of the quadratic formula. So the way to graph, we're going to first identify A, B, and C. And then we're going to find the axis of symmetry using x equals opposite of b over 2a and simplify that. And then we'll substitute that x value into the equation to find the y coordinate of the vertex. And then, in vertex form, we just like found another point. But here we're going to identify the y-intercept. And what's nice is that the y-intercept is where you put 0 in for x. And what happens when you put 0 in for x here is that the ax squared becomes 0 and the bx becomes 0, and you're just left with c. So it's very easy to find the y-intercept. The only time that that would not work is if the vertex is already the y-intercept, then you would need to have another point. So I'll add that to our steps in a second. And then because I ran out of room, this would really be step 5, but then and reflect to get a third point. So this, let me make a couple corrections here. Find the AOS and draw it in the graph. And then this one is, you could find another point that's not the vertex, because sometimes the vertex will be the y-intercept. So those are the kind of caveats there. Okay, so let's try one. So I have 3x squared minus 6x plus 2. I'm just going to zoom in on this a little bit. So first of all, my A, my B, and my C, I'm going to identify. A is, let me make my pen thinner, A is 3, B is -6, and C is 2. And so my first step was to do that, and my next step is to use opposite of B over 2A. So x equals, the opposite of b is +6, and then over 2 times 3, so 6 over 6, so that is 1. So my axis of symmetry will be x equals 1. So I'm going to go ahead and graph that on here. That was supposed to be my line tool. Come on, smartboard. There we go. And so x equals 1 is the axis of symmetry here. And that was a positive 1 because it's the opposite of -6. Okay. And then I know that my vertex, okay, ready? Here it comes. There's my XY table. Once again, I will use my vertex right here. I know my vertex is 1 comma something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my formula or my equation, sorry, and I'm going to put just parentheses. So I can put the 1 in for x, and then I can figure out what it is. Once again, I am going to follow the order of operations. So 1 squared is just 1. So I have 3 times 1, and then I have 6 times 1, and then I have 2. I'm going to do multiplication before I do addition and subtraction. So 3 minus 6 plus 2. So that is -3, and then plus 2, that is -1. So 1, -1 is my vertex. So my vertex is at 1, -1. And then remember that my another point would be 0, comma C. And so what is C in this case? My C is 2. So there's like no thought there. It's just when I put 0 in, this guy's going to cross out, this guy's going to cross out. I'm just going to be left with 2. So 0, 2 is my y-intercept, and then I will do the axis of symmetry. I'll use the symmetricness there. I will reflect, and I will get 2, 2. I don't know if symmetricness is a word, but that is then what my parabola will look like. And then you just double check if you should be opening up. And so A is 3, which is positive. So that does mean that our parabola is opening up. So that's it. So there's a couple other videos with some of the other examples for you if you need them.